How's everybody doing tonight?
Right.
Good. We'll wait a couple more minutes here. I think we're expecting a quorum, so we'll give people a couple more minutes to get themselves logged on.
Hello, Terry.
Hello, how's everyone this evening?
Terry.
Good, good.
I feel like we are almost on the verge of meeting in person, right?
Getting there.
I hope. Andre is in the house.
Ms. Harant,
Terry. Hi, Terry.
how are you?
It's amazing how you don't see people for months and then you see them night after night, huh, Joyce? Looks like Shalandra's here.
Yep, I've been here since 5:25.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, I see Andre. Tell me if I'm missing somebody, because I see 9 little squares on my Hollywood squares here. I see WMBD, thank you for being here. We'll wait a couple more minutes. We do have a couple more who said they were coming.
How's it going, Janice? I feel like I haven't seen you in a while.
I know, I know, Andre, what's going on?
Man, living.
I hear you. I hear you at the council meetings. Congratulations, nice job.
You know, I try to say a couple of things here and there. You know, it's like double dutch. You got to know when to jump in.
And not get burned.
And not get burned. No, it's been a good experience so far. So
Good.
I'm very, very blessed to be in that position.
We're lucky to have you.
Now, if I could get you to talk me out of this doctoral program.
No, you know that's never gonna happen.
Life might be a little more easier.
Where are you in that?
So I'm in year 3, so I'll start writing next year.
Okay.
I'm wrapping up coursework, so
Then you have nobody to blame but yourself.
yeah, I'm too far along not to keep pushing. I'm just talking mess, but yeah.
At some point, Andre, you finish out of spite.
yeah, it's like all right, I'm getting this done just because, you know.
You will not be denied.
I will not be denied.
Yeah, just remember that. And just remember, good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, just good enough.
My mentor told me, he said, get done first, save the world later.
Yeah, I promise you no one will ever read it, so you don't have to worry about it. There's stories of people putting, well, back, you know, when I finished 20 years, more than that, years ago, people put $20 bills in their dissertation in the library and come back 20 years later to see if it's still there. And it's very securely still there.
Still
Nobody's
there.
gonna read it. Okay, let's see. Looks like Nikolai's here.
Mhm.
So we need one more.
Evening, everyone.
Hi there. Nice to see you. Kind of your name.
How's it going,
Yeah,
sir?
sorry about that. A little under the weather, but
Uh-oh.
still here.
Oh, I hope you get better. I got my flu shot yesterday and I'm telling you, I am wiped out.
Woo! Yeah. That time, you're right. I need to actually get that done.
Getting old is, I tell you, it didn't used to bother me like it does now. So we are expecting another one or two here. Let's give it another minute. Can someone send Miss King the link? It looks like she's trying to get on. Let me see if I can figure it out.
What's
anybody-
what's her cell phone number? She normally gets on her phone, I think, right? Do you have Miss King's cell phone number, Janice? I could text it to her.
Let me check.
If not, I could try to email it to her, but let's see.
Okay, I just sent it to you. She's looking for the link. Did you get it?
Yep, I just texted to her.
Thank you.
Yep.
How could I do that? But I couldn't figure out how to send her the link. It's just a matter of trying to find it and capture it. And
Yeah, a little copy and paste.
there she comes. There she is.
I'm sorry, I looked in the agenda and it wasn't in there. So I'm like, where is it?
It's always hard to find. Okay, you guys, you're gonna have to, I think we have a quorum, so I am going to first read the governor's notice. And then I'll take official roll here. So bear with me after, I'm supposed to read the whole thing. The Governor Pritzker signed a new gubernatorial disaster proclamation extending the statewide declaration through October 17th, 2021. With the signing of this disaster proclamation, public meetings can continue to be held remotely per the requirements listed below. All meetings with customers should be done on a remote platform if at all possible. For public meetings that have already been noticed, we will need to renotice in order to provide the updated information. 1, standard 48-hour notice except for an emergency meeting to all members of the public body posted at the meeting location on the public body's website and provided to any news media that has requested notice. 2, during the meeting, participating members must be verified and must be able to hear one another as well as hear all discussion and testimony. 3, during open meetings, members of the public who are present at the meeting location of the public body must be able to hear all discussion, testimony, and votes of the members of the body. 4, if attendance at the regular meeting location is not feasible due to the disaster, alternate arrangements must be made, and notice of the meeting must include the arrangements that will provide live public access to hear all parts of the open meeting, phone number or link to Zoom, Teams, GoToMeeting, etc. 5, at least one member of the public body, the chief legal counsel or the chief administrative officer must be physically present at the meeting location unless it is not feasible due to the disaster. Other members of the public body may attend in person or remotely. 6, all votes must be made by roll call, identifying each member and recording their vote on each issue. 7, standard minutes of all meetings must be kept, approved, and made available for public review as usual. And 8, a verbatim audio or video recording of all meetings must be made available to the public for review. These recordings are public records and must be maintained per OMA. Okay, so once again, I want to welcome everyone. Let's take the roll. We have had some members request that at least when you're talking, you turn your camera on. We understand it's optional, but it's just a courtesy that if it's convenient for you to do so, we would appreciate that. Okay, I'll do it in alphabetical order. Andre Allen represents the City Council.
Present.
Demario Boone has told us he can't make it tonight. Shalandra Birch is an at-large representative.
Shalandra's here.
Shalandra's here. Terry Burnside is an at-large member.
Terry is here.
Hi, Terry. Kevin
Hello.
Evans represents the city manager's office. I do not see him. Nina Gugis, NAACP. Oh, I skipped Allison. I don't see Nina. Allison Galvin is our under 25 vice chair. Nikolai Greaves represents the 5th district.
Present.
Thank you. Chanel Hargrave Murray represents the 4th district. I do not see her. Lorraine King represents the 3rd district. Hi,
Yes.
Lorraine. Lee Lang represents the 2nd district.
Present.
Hi, Lee. Tyson Parks, the 3rd, is an at-large member, and he told me he's going to be arriving a little bit late. Catherine Scheidley represents the 1st district, and she is unable to attend. Alexander Sierra is an under 25 rep. I do not see him. Karen Wilson is an at-large member, and she's also told us she's not going to be able to attend tonight. I am here, Janice Segardo. I am the chair and at-large member, and filling in for Chief Echeverria is our assistant, our new welcome assistant Chief Bradley Dixon.
Thank you. Present.
So welcome, everyone. Let's see, we've done the governor's notice. Next, let's approve. You all have had the opportunity to review the minutes of the September 9th meeting, 2021. I think we'll go through the role of just the people that are here to approve those minutes. And the way I see on my screen, I see Assistant Chief Dixon first.
And I'm just approving. Is that what you're
Yeah,
asking?
that's all.
Yeah, I'll approve.
Shalandra Birch,
Approve.
Terry Burnside,
Approve.
Andre Allen,
Sorry there, approved.
Lorraine King,
Yes.
Nikolai Greaves,
Yes.
and Lee Lang.
Approve.
Thank you. So the minutes are approved. Let's see here. I would like to welcome, it looks like we have a couple neighborhood members, Joyce Harant, welcome, and Kay Berry, also welcome. Thank you for coming, and also a member of the press from WMBD. Thank you for being here. The unfinished business we can start with is our virtual town hall series. I think we're going to keep that on hold as unfinished business right now. We are taking suggestions for new dates, topics, and guests. In viewing the old minutes for the last meeting, Member Birch recommended safety. Member Lang represented neighborhood watches. Kay Berry recommended police training in dealing with disabled citizens, learning how to identify and respond correctly. Does anyone have any topics? We'll go from topics to guests because it makes more sense to figure out what we want to talk about before we think about who we want to talk about them. Does anyone have any suggestions as to what we would like to talk about in our next town hall?
Violence.
Violence, okay, that makes sense. Say, should I stick that in with safety, or is that different?
Thing. Community safety.
Community safety and, okay, I'll say community safety and violence. Okay, that's a good one. Along that, I don't want to jump the gun, but I tried to reach out to those students at Peoria High who wrote the Journal Star letter to the editor about, don't just think of our school as a violent place. They seemed like upcoming leaders in our community. So I'm trying to get a hold of them because I thought they might be able to talk about that also from a different perspective. So if anybody has any contact with them, I think that would be a good topic also. Ms. King, what do you think we should talk about?
I agree that the violence is an issue. At a meeting at church Monday night, we were talking about how to reach those people that are engaged in that behavior and what we can do to assist them, in addressing it, to go to them like the chief said, he's going to go to bad neighborhoods, quote, bad neighborhoods and knock on doors. And so I was hoping that we could get the community to mobilize and do something like that instead of just, going to vigils and saying what a shame it is. Why don't we go and talk to those people to find out what they think some good strategies would be to lessen the violence, because it's like a pandemic also. You can't cure it with a shot, with the vaccination.
Yeah, I've heard of it discussed as a public health issue. I think the PCAV rep talked about that also. Andre, did you have something to share, or did you just second the motion?
No, I agree with Ms. King. I think one of the challenge that I'm taking for myself personally, but I think we all can participate in, is we do need to go to the individuals in the communities where this is happening. I think the strategy of trying to host events and assuming that people will come to you, I think we know is not working. Although intentions are good, it's just not working. And so we have to go to these neighborhoods. And so, I definitely plan on, doing one of the walks that Peoria Police has listed, but also too, if any community organizations are doing some things, I would love to go and walk with them as well too, because I think that that's what we have to do. We have to start going and being more proactive than hoping that people are going to come to a town hall where we have an event, we've got to go to the neighborhood.
I think that's why, I think it's really a good idea from both of you. I mean, I think that's why we've been talking about taking these meetings to the neighborhoods. It's just frustrating that we can't get out of this Zoom box right now. So I do want to keep that on the table, that we do try to get out into the neighborhoods. Because I don't think people are coming to us. And I think we've been frustrated about that for a while. So I second that sentiment. Lorraine, did you have another point you wanted to make?
I'm sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
Mhm.
But I know that does work. I used to work in the Illinois River Correctional Center and all male inmates, and and then I'm working on the pandemic grant, and we had a talk about that today too. It's about you listening to people and understand where they're coming from, and not trying to impart our own perspectives and values on them, and listening to understand, because there's something that we don't know that's going on. We can only speculate.
Anyone else? Terry, did you? Oh, I see. it.
Yes, pretty much kind of what we're doing here at the House of Hope. It's pretty a new organization. Well, not really new, just a new name change. I would just suggest embrace some of the groups and organizations already doing the work. There's many out there, and it's a lot of work being done. Right now, I'm in a unique position right now because I'm dealing with the kids with District 150, and getting real traction from District 150 has been like pulling teeth. I mean, it's kind of aggravating in a sense because, I mean, when you tune with everybody who's anybody and you're getting different answers, different responses from different people, but not all on the same accord, it's challenging. Right now at the House of Hope, we're providing a space. We were asked to provide a space for virtual learning for District 150. We agreed, we gave them a presentation, gave them a proposal, and here again, it's 2 weeks and running, it's still sitting on somebody's table somewhere. But more importantly, and just constantly waiting for them to respond, I just felt the need to get busy in the community. Here again, dealing with a family house was just shot up last week. We just got busy. We got the parents' consent, providing that space for virtual learning in a safe, nurturing environment for the kids who can't go nowhere, who's been pretty much not kicked out of school, but released from different schools because it's a safety issue. But providing a safe space has been like a lot of hesitation. My question is why? I know it's a safety issue. So having that conversation with the parents, getting their consents and all that. So that's kind of what we've been doing all this week. And it's tough, but we're doing it. Providing that safe space and their learning, and it's a virtual piece. So it's huge.
It's Shalandra. I did a lot of research and focused on some evidence-based practices that other communities successfully did to address juvenile violence. And I drafted an entire proposal, and I reached out to the mayor, to the police chief, and the school board, and I submitted my proposal. And I didn't hear anything back, but I'm hoping that eventually they get to it, because I know they're super busy. And they take a look at that, because there are a lot of other cities who were dealing with, and I use the exact words because through my research, I learned that it is in fact called a public health crisis when these hybrid gangs, which are what these juvenile gangs are called, because they're not traditional gangs in the sense that they have organization and actual leadership. But I took like a gang course where I got certified to learn what hybrid gangs and all of that is. But I'm hoping that eventually they get to that and take a look at that and see some things that other cities did to successfully reduce juvenile violence.
Shalandra, thank you for sharing that. I mean, is that something that you could update us on and find out if there's a role for our committee in that once it's been, I mean, if there's just anything that we can do, I don't know if we would be able to fit in, but yeah, would you keep us updated and fill us in where we can help?
Yeah, I don't mind. I can send it to you if you would like.
Yeah, that'd be great, because we need, everybody's perspective on this and to try to break through here. So thank you for sharing that. It looks like Lorraine, what would you like to add to that?
I was interested in what Shalandra is talking about, and I was also going to ask the assistant chief if there's some way that we could get to talk to some individuals, who might be held because of their behavior, that we could talk to them confidentially, away from the press and that kind of thing, to get their perspectives. And so I'd be willing to work with her on that.
Yeah, let me make sure I understand. If what I think you're saying is correct, we can set that up pretty easily. We'd have to have their consent, but you're wanting to speak to, or at least refer them to some groups to get some information on what's driving the violence or beefs, or you just wanted to speak to them. We're talking about people that have been arrested. Is that?
I want to speak
What I'm
to the individuals, not refer them to groups, but to speak to them so they can speak from the heart. I remember when I worked at the prison, I was taking a counseling class and I had to participate in a counseling session or go to one, and the psychiatrist let me sitting on the sexual offender session. And he had all the guys there, tell me what they had done, and they shared openly because they trusted me. So I was thinking if we could go to them, not with the press or not with some organization, but just as individuals.
Sure. Yeah, so just to give you a little background, when we pick up on these incidents that we think there might be some retaliation on, we recognize some groups or even individual people, will go and do a custom notification and, one, try to stop any retaliation that may be coming, but also offer them services and things. I know Terry's been on a few of those as well, or probably several of them actually. So, but yeah, that's something that we can definitely get their information, or, you may just be able to come along and just, we'll have to see what works better. But, with the current pandemic we're in, it might be easier to get their information, or at least ask them if you can contact them. And I think that's something we can do pretty easily.
Thank you.
And for clarity, Assistant Chief Dixon, we ran into a little snag last week after we left the SNET meeting, and we were told that a lot of information would be provided, and we understand because of juveniles, it's not that easy. So you just got to keep it real with these guys, man. And it's hard to get to them, Ms. King. The other young guys, I've been for the last couple of days, every day this week, I've had these little access to these guys, and they got stone cold. Their hearts are stone just to get into them. So I'm starting to get them to break the barriers, how they're letting me in and had a conversation.
You're breaking up.
Them guys. So it's had a
I lost Terry, but I know what he's saying. Sometimes we get, Terry, go ahead. I'm sorry, we lost you.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
You're back.
Okay. I'm not sure what's great the internet. But anyway, just yes, Ms. King, kind of responding to your point, how getting certain people to certain groups, that's not gonna happen. Just keep it real. I'm just a realist. I mean, I've been working with a lot of these guys for a long time. I consider myself like a trained violence interrupter and outreach worker. It's hard to get into these guys. Will they sit down with the average person? Probably not. Trust is earned. You got to earn their trust. You got to get in and sit down with them and just be able for them to open up. I've been with these guys for the last few days and they're starting to open up. I'm learning more stuff in the last few days. I'm like, whoa. But once they get in that comfort zone, they begin to trust you, they loosen up. And I'm dealing with some guys who I got like one 14-year-old and two 13-year-olds. And they are, oh my goodness. The youth, unbelievable. So we need to just circle back and get together at some point in time, and we creating spaces for opportunities like what you're talking about. It's not reinventing the wheel. So many people want to that. We've been doing this work for a long time. So I would love to invite you all out to sit down with some of these young guys sometime with parental consents, and they're open to it.
Have you had any females talk to them?
Yes.
I know it won't happen in one conversation, but like you say, we could gain their trust. We could help Shalandra get her PhD.
We got a couple of them at the table. We got LCPCs, we got licensed therapists. So look, I encourage everyone, please write down his website, go visit it. I'm sure what we're doing. houseofhopepeoria.com. Look at it at your convenience, please, and thank you. And I promise you'll see what we're doing. We're busy, and we got an awesome team.
Terry, I'm glad you shared that with us. And I hear you that trust is earned, and they might be reluctant to talk to us. So I guess what I'm hearing is, could you share with us anything they need? If, certainly not to violate any trust, but if there's anything our committee can do, I think that's kind of the ultimate goal, not to violate anybody's privacy, but to find out what can our role be, to fill in, if at all possible. I think that's really the bottom line and what our goal is. Terry, if you want to respond, and then Allison has her hand up next.
Yeah, just briefly. Being able to sit down at the table with these young guys, been a few days, and now they're starting to listen. They started to warm up. Sorry, my call was interfering. So they're starting to listen. They're starting to warm up, and they're loosening up. So they're sharing some stuff with me about their personal lives, kind of stuff where they're going. It's almost scary, but they're in a comfort zone. They trust me, maybe another individual, enough to where they're that relaxed now. They can share certain stuff. A lot of it's very serious, it's police related, and a lot of these guys are on the radar, but just trying to intervene right now because they're just left at home. These particular children that I'm talking about, their house was shot up last week. They had nowhere to stay. We reached out to PCAB. PCAB did help and assist them, and that's been great on that end. So while they're helping them with housing and placing them in places like that, we're doing the muscle work. We're doing the grunt work on this end, sitting down with them at the table. So it's been a great collaboration, and I'm looking forward to doing more things. So I can definitely enlighten you all and maybe invite you to the circus as well.
Thank you, Terry. I work
welcome.
for the National Youth Advocate Program. I am a treatment advocate, so I have my mental health professional title as well. So I actively work with the aftercare specialist here in Peoria, which people also call them parole officers. We work with the Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice, in addition to the probations for the different counties. We cover Champaign, Sangamon, Macon, Peoria, and Vermilion County. And right now, my kids that I'm working with, there's a lot that goes on. And what I've seen with all the different clients that I have and their families, since we do a wraparound approach, it all starts at the house. Unfortunately, Peoria's housing, especially Peoria Housing Authority, has failed its Peoria residents. The housing, the scattered sites from the Taft homes to the Harrison homes to the Sterling Towers. The kids, the reason they don't want to be inside the house all day or do something with their families inside the house is because they're in horrible conditions. I don't know how the landlords and how Taft homes and other housing places as well are being approved by code enforcement. It all starts, it's kind of like the brain, the mental health, that's the house. There's going to be symptoms like bad behavior that goes on. And then once you try to direct it, it's just kind of like, well, I've had how many caseworkers come to this house and how many people try to help me and my family. And, instead they use it as a publicity stunt, or they used it to come in here to, use me as someone, as if my family and I were just like, to make them feel better. So that, again, that trust that Terry's talking about is very, very deep, rooted for many of years. So definitely approaching them is going to be very difficult. And then especially the school system, I'm constantly in different meetings at Glen Oak and Lincoln and Peoria High and not Richwoods, I'm just trying to think of all the schools that I've been to, and having to help the kids with the teachers, because the teachers don't know how to handle their behavioral issues, because it all stems from mental health. And obviously there's more than 30 kids in each classroom, so they're having to struggle, but this one kid needs one-on-one teaching. The fact that the district only has one IEP coordinator for the whole district, when there's many of kids who have IEPs, and they're struggling to be met. I mean, all of us are playing a role in this, and it's very difficult when we want to approach them and we're trying to say, hey, what's going on? Or, why did you do this? Well, there's a lot that goes on to it. So it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of meetings with the kids. And I really hope that everyone really wants to be a part of this and actually help, because it's going to take a long time to build that relationship. You're basically going to be feeling like a social worker position. So if this is something that, as a committee, we want to go down and, really be engaged in our community, that's what we're going to have to do. That's all I want to give from the social worker aspect of, actually going to the families' homes and staying with them, and every time there's a crisis, going to it. That's pretty much what you're going to be signing up for, because you have to show that you are consistent and that you'll consistently be there, because in their life, they haven't had that stability and consistency in their life.
Thank you for that, Allison. So we've strayed a little bit, but I think it was an important conversation on the topics that we want to cover. The kids, I mean, it sounds to me, what I'm hearing is we might want to add the schools. It sounds like Terry and Allison have had a lot of involvement with the schools, or frustrations maybe, because that is where these kids are supposed to be safe. So it sounds like maybe we need to add some sort of school, someone who deals with the school, so we can take some. I mean, I think the topic then tells us who we want to come talk. So we've talked about community violence and safety, neighborhood watches, police training with disabled citizens. I mean, I think these are important topics. And next, I think we talk about who should represent at a town hall. Who do the people want to hear from, or who would come and share with the community at a town hall? So if you have any ideas about that, I think there was some conversation about limiting the town halls to quarterly, so that we had more to talk about. So we can, if you want to have them more often than that or less often than that, you can weigh in on that also. So, I mean, we could ask, Joyce Arant suggested Mayor Ali is working on a strategy. She used to be part of this committee. We could ask her. I don't know if we want to ask the school superintendent, or if we want to go down lower to the actual IEP coordinator. Allison mentioned the IEP coordinator. Terry, if you have some ideas, or Terry, I mean, maybe we just want to hear from you also, about what the needs of these kids are. So, I mean, I think that's appropriate also.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I was just saying, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, sure. So, and also thank you for all this work. These kids are in dire need right now. It's a crisis. So thank you for all the work that you're doing with them.
Cool.
So, I mean, if you have ideas about how we can sincerely get involved, and I appreciate, I don't know if it was Allison's comment that, we don't have any interest in this being a publicity stunt. We want, if we do anything, it needs to have substance, and trust is, I think, trust follows from substance. So if we can do something substantive and meaningful and fill a need, then that makes sense. We can't just show up or.
Shalandra, I know it's early on in the RJE committees that Mayor Ali established, but I know that there's a youth and education portion of it. Maybe they could come and speak about you know, what their plans are as far as the youth and education portion, and maybe they have a couple ideas about how to work with the youth in the community. I know that working with them, illiteracy was a huge issue for the kids that were in high school. So maybe they have some ideas about that. I know that Hetty Elliott was working on some programs with that also.
Yes, Heidi Elliott. I'm so happy you brought her up. She's a fantastic resource, Landra. Definitely bringing her on to connect us with the community, as she has been a great liaison for a lot of the organizations here in Peoria. She's also a Peoria Public School teacher at Glen Oak, and then she also helps at Treewind, and she does fantastic work. And same thing, Shalandra, I really think, you know, having you kind of guide us as well from your experience would be very key. Also with your doctorate, fantastic, because then you can give us some more of that background of the knowledge that it takes to work with the kids. I mean, you know, hearing it from us and from Terry and I is just one thing, but definitely your background work that you have done can definitely be used to help us, you know, help the whole group, as well as other people that we want to bring on to help with the juveniles. Janice, you're still muted.
Thank you. I thought I undid that. Is Hetty Elliott still involved in the GED program? I know years ago she used to do that as well. So those are some good names to throw out. I think Kay Berry also said Carl Cannon's a wonderful speaker. He's involved with the kids as well. So thank you for those ideas. We'll add them. We just need to know, do you guys think quarterly is a good idea to dial back on some of these until we're able to meet in person? How do you guys feel about that? Maybe just 4 times a year? I'm seeing some head nods and some thumbs up.
I think 4 times a year is fine, and that ensures that we have substance, and then also it just gives us enough time to plan and not have burnout as well regarding the committee.
Okay, so then we just need to come up with a place. Do you guys want to wait another couple months till the governor removes the Zoom requirement so that we can actually take it to the community, our meetings? What are your thoughts on that? I am kind of really not interested in doing it in City Hall. If we could find a community building, Lorraine?
I'm just afraid in the next couple months, we're going to be back where we were before, because the variant is not subsiding. People are not getting vaccinated. Our area is only 51% vaccinated. So I don't think that we'll be able to do that in the next couple months. If we can't do it now, we won't be able to do it in the next couple months. We may have to wait till spring. Maybe.
So that being said, do you think we should wait till January if we're going to do this quarterly when things kind of settle down, or what? Should we do a Zoom? Should we? I mean, we should. If we're not going to, if we agree that we're not going to be able to meet in person, we have to abide by the governor's order. Do we want to start planning for? We're going to come up on November, December. Do we want to plan for January then? What do you guys think? What's the consensus here if we're gonna just assume we have to do it by Zoom? Or should we identify a physical location and then go ahead, Andre?
I was gonna say, if we have to do it by Zoom, I mean, we can get through the holidays and see how things are shaking out with Delta, and then if we we got to commit to Zoom. I'm trying to stay optimistic, although Ms. King just gave us a sobering reality of where we are currently with this. But I'm trying to stay optimistic because I think this would be great to do. I saw somebody posted the East Bluff, or even they're doing it down at Terry's House of Hope. or, you know, just all these different locations that we have here in the city.
Okay, thanks for the feedback, guys. Let's plan on January then, and we'll talk about it. We'll keep it under unfinished business. Keep thinking about topics, people we can invite, what we want to prioritize, who we want to represent to speak about these issues. And we'll assume Zoom until we are released from the little squares. Okay, so moving on. Let's see. Is there anything else under unfinished business that anybody wants to address? Okay, so we'll move on to new business. Well, Chief Boone sends his regrets. He is unable to be here today. That incident at Peoria High seems like it was a million years ago, given what else has happened in the community. But Assistant Chief Dixon said that he would address the issue. And it sounds like Terry, I don't see Terry anymore. It sounds like Terry had some experience with it, but Chief, I'm going to let you talk for a minute or two and then see if people have questions because you were there. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. I was there. Actually, Chief and I drove to the scene together. We were in a meeting and it was all hands on deck. The entire department was there. And it was a pretty chaotic scene when we got there. We were not there for the fights inside the school. They spilled outside, and it was multiple fights occurring at once, and then you'd get them broke up, and then they'd run down the street to another location. And so it was pretty chaotic. We were trying to get cars out of there, trying to get the lots emptied. But it was a lot. There was a lot of standing around waiting for the next fight to break out. And so that's kind of the scene that we responded to. We had 7 juvenile arrests and 2 adult arrests. But it was it spread quickly. It went over to Knoxville. A couple of businesses were complaining that it spilled in there. So several other agencies responded to help us. I think overall, considering what we were dealing with, we got it under control relatively quickly. And we kind of went from there, brought everybody down here and kind of figured out who was involved in what. So logistically, it was pretty difficult for the officers just to get the scene under control. But once we had enough personnel there, then it went pretty smooth after that. So following that was the 17th. Following that, we had a pretty good visual presence when school started and when it released. For at least the next week, we met with Dr. Crowd and her team the next morning. We had the detectives show up and we kind of round tabled it and came up with a game plan. I think it went pretty well. There were some ongoing issues that kind of boiled over, multiple different issues that we needed to address. So we partnered with District 150 or Peoria Public Schools, and I think the process was pretty effective. We haven't had any, there's been a few minor incidents as a result of this, but at the schools there hasn't been. We teamed up with the football team after that. We got invited to team dinner, so we wanted to show a lot of support. We know that the kids at the school, for the most part, a vast majority of the kids had nothing to do with it, and we wanted to show those kids support. So we partnered with them at their football game. We had a large presence at the football game, had cars in the end zones and things like that. And then we followed up with the team after that. So we also, I know Chief and I went to a couple lunches, just showed up kind of randomly and talked to the kids and engaged with them. And we just really wanted to show support to the students there and let them know that we're behind them and supporting them. And we know that the vast majority of the students were not involved in that. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. If somebody has some follow-up questions, I can certainly try to answer those.
So Chief, thank you for explaining that. It looks like Lorraine has a question, but before that, I apologize. I did not allow you to introduce yourself to our group. You are our new assistant chief, and I think we just dove right in there. So if you want to say a thing or two about how long you've been with the force and your selection, I think people might be curious about that. So I apologize for just
Sure,
jumping
no
right in.
problem. Yeah, Brad Dixon. I've been on the department going on, this will be my 21st year. So born and raised here, went to school, Peoria Public Schools, multiple different schools. And my family's still here. I've spent most of my time in on the investigative side of the house, if you will. But I've been in patrol, special investigations, criminal investigations. So I just have been in a lot of different areas of the department and serving in different ranks as well, officer, sergeant, lieutenant, captain. Recently, as my last position, I was the captain over investigations. So that's it in a nutshell. I'm excited about this opportunity, and I'm ready to. This is day 8, I think, officially. So jumping in with both feet.
Okay, thank you for that. Lorraine, I'm going to ask one quick question before I go to you. When you met with Dr. Karat and you had your roundtable, you said there were some ongoing issues that boiled over and you addressed, or was it just, are you allowed to share with us what was going on, or was it just some trivial kid stuff, or was it, I mean, what?
No, it's, and I think Terry tried to touch on this earlier. I think a lot of these issues, most of the people here tonight can't relate to that these kids are dealing with the violence that they've been exposed to or are committing. So there was just a lot of issues, rivalry issues, things like that. And, none of it had anything to do with school. It was all outside of school. It was not at school. It's just, I think it was just kind of the perfect storm for that event. So I can't really go into too much detail because we're talking about juveniles, but the issues were not related to an incident at school. They're all outside of school, and that's pretty much the background on that.
Thank you. Lorraine?
First of all, I'd like to welcome Assistant Chief Dixon, and I'm so happy to hear that you're from the Peoria community. It's no secret.
Oh, yeah.
I think we should have more police officers serving who live in the community rather than just work and go back to their neighborhoods at the end of this shift. The question I have for you is, I remember Dr. Karat said that there were some parents egging kids on. So when I read the article about the 2 adults that were arrested were 18 and 19, and I know for sure that the 18-year-old is a student, I was wondering, well, what happened to the parents that were egging the kids on? Because these 18, 19-year-olds just became adults by virtue of their age. So I was just curious about that. Right.
So from my experience being there, it was, my earbuds falling out. It was more the parents, some of the parents were already there, which I'm not sure how that happened, but I mean, word spreads pretty quick when tensions are building. And, if you've ever worked around schools, all the kids know something's about to happen, and the teachers don't find, we're teachers and law enforcement, we're probably at the end of that knowledge scale. But so some parents were already on scene when I got there, and, I don't think they were cooperative. They were yelling at us and trying to defend some of the actions of their kids and things like that. So I think that's what maybe the reference was to, but it doesn't necessarily mean it was criminal in behavior. They just weren't helping the situation. They were making it worse. And that's not the case for everybody. I want to be clear about that. I saw probably 2 or 3 parents that were actively trying to make the situation worse. So that's, I think, what they were referring to. So are the 18 and 19, I know the 18-year-old student, is the 19-year-old student as well? And are they still being held? Are they allowed to go to school via Zoom? What's going on? I'll just comment on the age. I don't really want to get into whether they're a student or not.
Mhm.
You know, I kind of want to protect that part of their privacy on there. So, but the ages, that's what the ages are.
Mhm.
So I'll just leave it at that. I don't really want to get into where they go to school or if they're in school.
No, but are they allowed, are they back in school or are they not allowed to go back in school?
So I would defer that question to Dr. Karat's team on there.
Okay.
There's some back, excuse me.
Mhm.
There's some background that I don't think I can comment on, but I would defer that to you know, Chief Boone or Dr. Karat's team.
Okay.
Well, thank you for filling us in on that incident, and I'm
No problem.
glad everybody was, kind of okay in the end without a lot of violence breaking out. That was really, I guess, the key to keep that under control. Does anybody else have any questions about that particular incident? So moving on, I think some people, if you guys can see in the chat, there's a couple comments and emails and website addresses in the chat. So you might want to keep an eye on that if you're interested. So the next item on the agenda is the committee participation in the complaint process, the annual review and recommendations. The only update I have on that, and I was noticing today online that Allison, I believe we discovered a month or so ago, time has kind of been weird. So I think it was a month or so ago that complaint form had that the requirement to have it notarized had somehow come back on the complaint form. And we were looking at it today and it's gone, which is good news. So the thing that's missing though, so if you go to the City of Peoria website and go to the police department, there's 3 items that relate to our committee. One is the complaint form itself. And the second is a brochure that talks about the complaint process or compliment process. And the third is that form in Spanish. Now, on the form, it tells citizens that they can communicate with us, our committee, if they have a problem or a concern with the way their complaint was processed. We are supposed to, it was our understanding from years ago that invitation to speak with us is supposed to actually be on the complaint form itself, because it's possible that people could find the complaint form or compliment form and never see the brochure. So I talked to Chief Dixon about that, and he's going to inquire about getting that put back on there. Then the other thing is on the brochure, it says contact an email address, and we have no idea who is monitoring that email address, and he's going to check into that for us also. And there's a phone number, which doesn't make a lot of sense to have to call the police to complain about the police or, ask about the status of your complaint. So he's going to check on that, and he's got his hand up. So I'm going to let him tell you what he learned.
Okay, so there's a couple things there. The email, right now, I just checked. I had our IT department check. There's nothing in the email box right now. And based off of those conversations, if somebody emails that, the recommendation was to have maybe 1 or 2, maybe the chair or vice chair have access to that, and then they can distribute that complaint as they see fit. That's not something we would see. The whole point is that, the advisory committee would get that. So all I need is a couple of emails, and it can be we can forward it to whatever email you want. So I'll just need a couple of emails from, 2 people, I think would probably be best, primary and secondary. And then the phone number, I wasn't able to get that assigned out today, but I'm told tomorrow that can get fixed. So, and again, same thing, that would be essentially just having access to the voicemail that it would go to. And I'm checking on seeing if we can actually get it forwarded to a number. So you can check it outside, but definitely access to the voicemail portion of the phone number as well.
I think that's great. Thank you very much for checking on that. And I think, Allison, if you don't have any objection, I think we'll take that on and then we can communicate and bring to the committee any communications that hit that email address and phone number. We'll sort that out. So I appreciate that. And also just if we could check to get our committee, that email address and phone number put on the complaint form. Back, it appears and disappears and appears and disappears. So that would be awesome.
No objections here,
Yeah.
Janice.
And just to follow up, that is easy for us to do to get that on there. So I will work on that tomorrow, getting that section on the pamphlet transferred over to the complaint form.
Thank
I
you.
have a quick question.
Yes.
Is the email like a Peoria, like, does it say it's from the police station, or is it just a general kind of email, like a Yahoo or something? And if it is like a peoria.org or gov type email, is there somewhere that says that it doesn't go to the police, it goes to the committee?
I can read it verbatim. It's Community Relations Committee at peoriagov.org. We don't have access to it. I can't check it. I can't see it. That's the whole point. It says you may contact the Peoria Community Relations Committee at, then the phone number or email, and then the email I just gave. And then right below that, it has the chief of police's direct desk number.
Okay, I just wanted to see, because if people think it's going, I know
Right.
we would know it's not going to the police, but if someone who's making a complaint thought it was something that was going to the police, they may not want to share that. So I just wanted to get that clear. Thank you.
I understand the concern. I think, and obviously if you think there's something we can do to improve it, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. That's not going to the police. It's a community relations committee. But if we need to adjust that, we can certainly do that.
Thank you.
So to be, Shalonda, that's a good question. And to be perfectly clear, it's not, they're not bringing us the complaint. It says, what if you're concerned about the disposition of the investigation? So our role, our role doesn't activate until someone who brought a complaint is, quote, concerned about the disposition of the investigation. But I think right now, we really just need some communication. I mean, we're starting at A here, so if whatever we can do to increase communication and once again, trust with the community would be huge. Yes, Chief.
Okay, so I can't wait for in-person meetings as well. I know I spoke to the chief about the transparency dashboard that we're trying to get. So when this is up, and I think I'm going to have an opportunity to speak about that a little bit later. The idea is to have pictures of the advisory committee up there with contact information. So if they do want to bring a complaint up front, that would be an option as well. So you would be able to direct a complaint your way to the committee up front. And I think that's what you were talking about. This is basically what we were talking about, is if you're not happy with the disposition, but if somebody feels more comfortable taking their complaint to you, they can certainly do that once the dashboard's up and running.
I'm definitely on board with that. And I guess we could let committee members respond individually when you guys are ready to set that up, but
Sure.
That would be great. So does anyone have any other comments about the complaint process for now? If not, we'll move on to the general police update. So take it away, Chief.
Okay, just a few things. I don't really have a ton to talk about as far as, we don't have any pending formal complaints or anything like that. I think if we go to a quarterly meeting, we'll have some more matrix that we can share, and so it's not so hit or miss. That would be better for us to get that data, and we can talk about more things. But just some of the things on the horizon we have, coming up. The transparency dashboard, we're in the process of now getting some technical assistance to get that set up. So it's very user friendly and easy to pull those metrics off our website. I think we're probably, I had to guess, we're probably 60, hopefully closer to 60, maybe 60 to 90 days out. Power DMS is coming out. That's going to help with some of our training that just was approved by council. So, and memorandums and things like that through the department to make us more efficient. And we have some software vendors we're looking at with our professional standards, our investigations that we do. So it's digital and more efficient. I think we'll be able to be much more transparent. We'll be able to pull a matrix instantly off one of the two vendors that we choose to go with. So I think if somebody wants some information on a particular event, we'll be able to just immediately pull it off that website. It's pretty neat software that we're able to use and that we have access to. So we're in the process of getting that. We just got our final quote from our second vendor. So hopefully that's up relatively soon. And then we are really looking forward to, it should be up. They're building the app now, but tip 411 is coming. You'll be able to tip anonymous complaints or I'm sorry, anonymous tips via text. And the officers, excuse me, that we designate can have instant feedback, and that's anonymous as well. So if they want to clarify something, they can text back, and that person on the other end of the line is anonymous. So I know the chief's been working really hard on getting this pushed out. So we will definitely have some more information on it. And so the public knows how to use it, and we'll have a media campaign out on that. I think we'll partner, as we always do with Crime Stoppers, and just give them a little, you can't text to Crime Stoppers. So tip 411 will be another addition to that. I think people will find it, and there'll be an app on your phone that you can download. So that's kind of where we're at on the tech side that we're trying to build up. Let's make sure. I will also tell you the knock and talks that we've been doing. I've been on several of them. There's one tonight that is probably going on right now. We've been getting so much positive feedback on that about being out there in the community instead of waiting for them to come to us. We've had requests for, so many different things. We've referred them to a couple other service providers, and just in general, just getting out there and meeting them. I think it's good for the officers. The residents seem to enjoy it. We talked to the business owners, so that has been going really well for us as well. So that is it in a nutshell. I certainly can answer any questions. If somebody has questions, but that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Chief. Just to clarify one item, these meetings are held monthly, and the town hall meetings that we were referring to were ones, they're an hour long, and we don't discuss regular business like this. We try to focus on a topic and have some guest speakers and let the community members tell us what's going on in their neighborhoods. We did hold them in person before the pandemic or the quarantine, and we took the opportunity, since we were on Zoom, we thought we could get more people to participate on Zoom because you don't have to leave your house. And we've had mixed success with that, getting, I guess, depending on who the speaker was, getting people to participate. So these meetings will continue to be monthly.
I like the idea of going to the neighborhoods just based off our knock and talks as well when we do those. So I think we'll get a lot more participation that way as well.
What neighborhood were you doing those in, the knock and talks?
Well, they're all over, and they're based off of our crime mapping. They're not random, just basically that are, the people that are exposed to the most violence in the city. That's where we want to be out talking to those residents and seeing what, just letting them meet the officers and let them know we're here for them, and just basically seeing what their needs and wants are. And so they're all over East Bluff, West Bluff, Tonight they're in the south end. They're just basically our hotspot mapping. We kind of put together a matrix, and that's where we're at. They're listed online. You can see them, I believe, on our Facebook page. Let's see if I have a flyer, which I don't right now, but so there's a flyer that we hand out. If they're not home, we put it in their door. It's got a list of services that we can put them in touch with if they need something. I don't wish I should have had a flyer, but it's 10 or 12 services that we can provide, and we can certainly refer them to just depending on what their needs are. And we've had I personally have had somebody need a refrigerator, somebody was looking for some adult mentorship for her sons, and there's those resources are available and pretty easy for us to put them in touch with. So it's good to be able to get to them instead of they're just not going to come to us.
That's great. Is that flyer online somewhere on your website?
I believe it's on our Facebook page.
Oh, you just said that. I hardly ever get on Facebook.
I can't. I don't have I have to do this from my iPad because my monitor doesn't have a camera, so I'm not able to check our Facebook page right now. But I believe it's on there. If it's not, we'll put it on there. But I believe it's the locations as well as our flyer is on there.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Who is phone number 7321? Could you identify yourself, please? I just see someone logged on.
From Parks.
Oh, okay. So we see you twice. Okay. Well, welcome.
The browser doesn't support the audio.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. So does anyone have any questions for the chief here to follow up on anything? Okay. I do not see any hands up. So we were told that there were no email citizens requests to address the committee. We do have some community members here. And I see some comments that you guys have been sharing in the chat. So if people want to look at their chat, do any of the community members want to address the committee? You could just raise your hand with your emojis. Okay, let's see. Joyce had her hand up first, but I didn't.
Doesn't matter.
So we'll go to Kay next. Thanks,
Oh,
Joy.
yeah. I just want to say that.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah,
or
I'm
everybody.
Joyce Herent, and I'm here representing the Faith Coalition for Racial Equity. And so we have we were formed in last year in the fall, and so we are just trying to organize ourselves and do outreach to faith-based communities that have benefited from white privilege. And I know Pat Denzer was at a meeting several months ago, and I did actually send an email to the chief, and I realized I probably should have just called to try to get an appointment with him for our coalition. Chief Dixon, would there be a best number for me to call or person?
Yeah, let me, it's easy enough both ways. I mean, we'll make ourselves available. Were you trying to get a hold of Chief Echeverria?
Yes, we would like to. Well, when we first formed, we met with Chief Marion, and then he retired. And so now we're,
right. Okay.
We would want to connect with him.
Yeah, it's easy enough. You can, however you want to do it, we can contact you. I can give you a call tomorrow and set something up. His schedule's pretty, he's meeting a lot of people. I just looked at it, again today. So, but he will make himself available. I'm confident of that. So however you want to do it, I can give you my contact information, or I can contact you, whatever's easier.
It makes no difference to me. I can give you, I can put my email in the chat.
Yeah, that's fine. Or I mean, if you want to write a phone number down, I can give you my number, and however you want to do it. So you tell me whatever's easier.
Why don't we do both? And I'll put my.
Sure. So you can, my phone number is 494-8381. So that's my desk line.
8431.
So 49, yeah, obviously 309 is our area code, but 8381 is my
8381.
line. So if you want to, you'll probably, I'm not always by that phone, but if you leave me
Oh,
a
yeah.
voicemail, I'll get it pretty quick, and I can get you scheduled with the chief pretty quickly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Joyce. Okay, Kay Berry, you can introduce yourself, please, and welcome.
Hello, my name is Kay Berry. I'm with the Advisory Committee for Citizens with Disability. We had talked, I think it was either last month or the month before, on police training in regards to citizens with disability, and how much, or if the police officers needed any more. There had been a couple of conflicts with police officers and citizens with disability.
So let me understand the question. Were you asking if we needed training on that? Is that
Not if you need it. Well, there seems to be a need for training with police officers in regards to handicapped people in Peoria. The chief, I can't pronounce his name. I'm deaf and hard of hearing myself, sorry.
Sure, no problem.
And if I didn't know how to pronounce it before, I definitely don't know how to pronounce it now. I mean, the guy is really cool and everything. And he had mentioned something with working with, he had known about working with different type of people and stuff. And he was going to be checking into how much training the local police officers had in regards to different types of handicapped people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw this on your chest.
Go ahead. Hit me with it. So,
You
all right.
know.
So it's no problem. I mean, we're always looking to, be better, more professional. So anything we can get, and it just depends what kind of format you want to do that in. We're going through our annual training right now, and there is state mandated training, with some mental issues, autistic, things like that, how to deal with, that type of training. I don't know that specifically. I guess I need some clarification on what type of disabilities we're talking about, or handicaps. So we do have some, if somebody's deaf or hard of hearing, we do have cards that we can show that show like you're on a traffic stop, you were speeding, things like that. We do have those cards. Right. So it's basically visuals you point to, stop sign, things like that. So, but I'm all ears. I'm all for it. If there's something you want to refer to us, and we can push that out. The beauty of this power DMS that we're getting is that's something we can, the department's getting younger. They prefer the online training. So it's something we can push out pretty easily and department wide. And so definitely, I don't know if you copied my number or not, but I can definitely touch base with you and see what ideas you had in mind. And really what the issues are, because I haven't heard about the issues that you're talking about.
Well, me being me, I see a lot of issues. I saw a gentleman just down here on Cup Boulevard, with the white cane stuck in the middle of the traffic lights because they're not long enough for somebody to go across. 2 police cars went by. They weren't going anywhere. I thought one of them probably could have stopped and helped them to cross the traffic, and they just blew them off. That kind of bothered me. But I see things like that all over the place, It's just different. There was an elderly lady whose scooter had broken down on her. She had 4, these are videotaped with the camera, and 4 officers, this is 3 a.m. in the morning, had gone by and nobody bothered to, assist. They just went on by. So, things like that kind of bothered me a little bit. And also, with the hearing right, police officer says, hey, stop. Well, obviously that person's not going to hear them,
Right.
So, we can understand both sides. The officer wants to make sure somebody's not going to turn around and shoot them, but yet, the person has no idea that they're, being So, I just things,
Hey, Captain Dixon, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. So we got
Hey, so I apologize to everybody. I was in another meeting, but I heard this question, and Captain Dixon was, I'm sorry, Assistant Chief Dixon is.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, I apologize. I got to get used to it. I promoted him. I'm now demoting him with my words, so I apologize. But this training that you're talking about, yes, if I recall, what you're talking about is, and the chief here was exactly right. We have some mandatory training that we have to get done, and we're coming up to the end of the year, and we need to get this done as we move into 2022. You'll see that we have a new assistant chief, we have some new captains, some new lieutenants, some new sergeants, and part of this is really sitting down. We've put some things on pause in the department with the amount of violence that we're seeing and some of the other things. We've had to put some things on pause to really evaluate what we need to improve and change, and really take a whole holistic look at everything, from training to recruitment to retention to equipment and technology. And one of the things that we do want to look at is we have been talking about training at the department here. I've been talking with Chief Dixon recently. We've been talking about, we need to reevaluate how we do training, when we do training, and really have more ongoing training throughout the year. He did mention Power DMS. We will be able to use that to push out training, but we also want to have more trainings at roll call. We want to have more regular trainings where we have other speakers come in and do that. And part of that is to really look at, like autism. How do we respond to autism and people with special needs? That hits home for me. I have a brother who's deaf. He's autistic. And exactly, if somebody walked up to him and told him to stop, he'd have no clue what to do. Zero. Unless you're able to do something with your hands or get in front of him. And we need to make sure that officers understand that we're dealing with different people at different levels, different educations, different capabilities. And sometimes we have to take a slowdown. And part of that is also looking at how calls are dispatched. How are we primed to get to that call? The voice of the dispatcher, what the dispatcher says, and there has to be training on both sides, and really gathering more information prior to us getting there. So there's a lot of things that we need to look at, and as we move forward with this new command staff that's in place that I'm excited about, I think you're going to see a lot more of that, or hear a lot more about some of those things in trainings. We definitely can use more training at any time. I don't think there's ever enough training. Again, getting new officers in place. We have 30 slots next year through our police academies that we really want to fill and make sure that we have the right people in those spots to then have those officers on the street. That now gives us even more time to be able to pull officers off the street and do some training in-house and do training a little bit differently, and really put the emphasis on our supervisors to make sure that these trainings are occurring on a daily basis, that we should have training. That's my expectation, that we are doing some type of training in our roll calls. We have 15 minutes. We can pull people off the street at times when it's slow, and look for times when I wish we had more downtime, but there will be times as it gets colder that I hope that we will see some time that we'll be able to incorporate some of these trainings and some more training online.
Bring more awareness to everyone, of what's going on with the handicapped world.
Absolutely. And when you say awareness, we want to also make sure that our community is aware of how we do things. And so I think we need to have trainings that where we're doing training with our community. We're teaching our community what to expect when we do a traffic stop. What are your rights? What are the other, right? And so I think that's important. When an officer shows up to your house, what should you expect? And so I think this goes both ways, right? We train, that we help talk with our community. We train our officers. We all make sure that we're kind of on the same sheet, or at least can understand and have a mutual respect. And I think we're starting to do that with our walk and talks to make sure the community understands that we're here for them, that we want to be in the community, and that offers them an opportunity to ask questions, and we're able to learn from each other.
A majority of the handicapped community are still afraid of the police officers, because of that, problem of communication. That's a fact.
Well,
I know.
Go ahead.
And I'm sorry, but I mean, the deaf community wants to have absolutely nothing to do with the police department. I've talked to them on several occasions and trying to do something. The legally blind people, again, they've designed to develop their own community.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that that's your opinion on that. I have a brother who is deaf. He is 43 years old. I have been around the deaf community for a long time. I've had meetings where I've went to, and I haven't had that experience. So I apologize that you've had that experience. But I would say this: if there is a deaf community here and there is a group of people, I would love to come and meet with them, and let's lower that barrier of being scared of us and have some more communication. And so I would invite that, and I would invite that we set something up and that we can have more of our officers and even have them come to the police department and kind of see what it is, and let's take that fear away. Because like I said, I have a brother who is deaf. I mean, when I say he's deaf, 100% deaf, no hearing aid can help him. And he's deaf and autistic, severely autistic. We need to bathe him still. And so I would love, to feel free to reach out to my office and tell me where this community is at. Is there a point of contact? Let's set something up, and I would love to have officers come meet them. Let's sit down and talk. I don't know sign language, but I'm sure somebody else can help me.
Yeah, they have a supper every so often, and when everybody gets out.
Well, I love food. I love supper. I love food. So does Chief Dixon. We will be more than happy to come out and talk and meet with them.
No problem.
Okay, that's awesome. Welcome, Chief. Thanks for pitching in there. Does anyone else have any questions here? We're getting a little reverb from phones. Okay, any items for the good of the cause? Is everybody doing okay? I got my flu shot today or yesterday, and I'm wiped out. Anybody else have anything to contribute? Okay, well, that being said, we have 4 whole minutes to spare here. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Lorraine King, and a second.
Second by Andre.
Allison beat you, Andre. Okay, so let me go through the roll here. I'm going to go in my little Hollywood squares. Shalandra?
Yeah.
Reverend Tyson Parks?
Yes.
Okay, Andre Allen?
Yes.
Lorraine King?
Yes.
I guess I'll go to Chief Dixon because he's the one who was here.
Yes.
Lee Lang?
Yes.
Nikolai Greaves?
Yes.
Allison Galvin?
Yes.
Did I get everybody? Okay, you all, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And I think I like what I heard tonight. So I hope we're making some baby steps. Thanks for coming, Kay and Joyce and everybody.
Take care,
and
everyone.
WMPD. Take care. Have a good night.
Have a good night.